Ilara's home was her sanctuary, a quiet haven of polished wood and hushed corners. Her bathroom, in particular, was a testament to her meticulous nature, adorned with two grand antique mirrors. One, a vast ornate piece, dominated the wall above the clawfoot tub. The other, smaller and simpler, hung opposite the vanity. It began subtly, a flicker at the edge of her vision. A shadow, perhaps, in the periphery of the larger mirror, the one facing the door. She dismissed it as a trick of the light, a momentary lapse in her focus. The old house often played such games with the shifting sun. But the sensation persisted, a prickle of unease that defied logic. It was always on Tuesdays, a detail she noted with a growing sense of dread. The day itself seemed to hold a peculiar weight, a subtle shift in the air that only she perceived. The second Tuesday brought a clearer, more chilling revelation. As she brushed her hair, her gaze drifted to the large mirror. There, undeniably, was a figure. It stood directly behind her reflection, a silent, unmoving presence. It was a man, indistinct in features, yet undeniably there. His form was a dark silhouette against the muted light of the room. He simply stood, watching her reflection, never her actual self. Ilara spun around, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. The bathroom was empty. The air was still, save for the faint hum of the house settling. There was no one. Each Tuesday, the apparition returned. It was always the same man, always in the same spot, always in the large mirror. He never moved, never made a sound, yet his presence was a suffocating weight. Ilara tried to rationalize it, to find a logical explanation. She checked the windows, the doors, even the attic access panel. Nothing. She covered the smaller mirror, thinking it might be a strange optical illusion. The figure remained, steadfast in its silent vigil. The dread began to seep into her waking hours. She found herself anticipating Tuesdays with a sickening certainty. Sleep offered no escape, haunted by the image of the silent watcher. The 13th Tuesday arrived, cloaked in a heavy, oppressive silence. Ilara approached the bathroom with a profound sense of foreboding. She knew he would be there. As her eyes met her reflection, he was there. But this time, something was different. The figure was no longer a mere silhouette. His features, though still indistinct, seemed to sharpen, to gain a terrifying clarity. And then, his hand moved. Slowly, deliberately, it lifted. His reflection reached out, not towards her, but towards the mirror itself. His fingers pressed against the glass, leaving a faint, ghostly imprint. A shiver, colder than any winter draft, ran through Ilara. The man in the mirror was not merely observing. He was attempting to cross. The boundary between their worlds, once absolute, now seemed terrifyingly thin. His eyes, though still shadowed, seemed to bore into her own reflection. A silent plea, or perhaps a silent threat, emanated from his unmoving form. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen tension. Ilara stood frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. The man in the mirror remained, his hand pressed against the glass, his gaze unwavering. The silence of the house was now a deafening roar. The moment stretched, an eternity suspended in the polished glass. Then, as abruptly as he had appeared, he began to fade. His form dissolved, not into shadow, but into the very fabric of the mirror. The glass shimmered, then settled back into its usual, deceptive stillness. The bathroom was empty once more, but the silence that followed was no longer peaceful. It was a silence that hummed with an unspoken promise. Ilara never looked at the large mirror the same way again. Every Tuesday, she felt his presence, a cold whisper against her skin. He was still there, waiting, just beyond the glass, for the next reflection.